If you have a few minutes, I'm going to prove you how you're enlightened already. This is a very simple idea and very profound, but I need you to have the courage to face something you may not want to face. So bring up in your mind some difficult situation you're going through, something you're struggling with, some kind of problem. Maybe it's an economical problem, maybe it's a breakup, maybe you're frustrated with your job, anything. Just bring that experience to your mind and then start noticing how your mind gets like focused, like narrow focus, like a beam onto that problem. Like you can stop thinking about it. Your emotions get engaged, like a source of energy, and the whole thing starts just making you feel very uncomfortable. So, okay, this is a lot easier to see if you think about a friend or someone else, you know that they have a problem with anything, and just with them trying to enjoy this beautiful day, and they cannot stop thinking about it. They're just like, they cannot enjoy it. They are just like obsessed with this problem, this situation they want to solve. They have to solve. Their mind is just wrapping it. This is a very important point. Because what you will notice is that actually, when you're suffering, something that is happening is that you're narrowing down in tunnel vision to your problem. This is a negative feedback loop that happens between the mind and your body sensations, emotions, and memory. I don't want to go into this. There's a lot of other videos that I made about this. So just think about the sensation that you have actually when you do that. And notice, this is a very important point, on how you lose perspective of everything you're living in right now, your environment, your experience, how your senses close, and you're just abstract, locked in your mind. Do you notice this? This is very, very crucial and important if you want to realize what you really are. So, in that experience, doesn't it feel disorienting? Like you are narrowed down into your problem and you cannot see anything else? You feel that? So first question, very important question. What is your suffering in this struggling situation? Because if you're ready to face this suffering in you, you will notice that it is not a something, it's an absence. You're missing something. You're missing a connection. You're missing love, spontaneity. You're missing this just peacefully just being without any problem, let's say, without any obsessive thing to focus and to solve, right? So this is a very important distinction, because what's happening is actually your suffering doesn't even really exist. I know you experience it. We experience it, right? So, but it's a lack. It's a very important thing to notice, because it's a darkness. You don't really see the world. You're just locked into your problem. Do you see that? I really hope you can, because we cannot go further if you don't really understand that. So, once you understand this point, now the question is, okay, if that's darkness, how are you seeing that darkness? Meaning, this darkness is lack of awareness of the moment where you are, and you're locked in these thoughts, and you're in this tunnel vision with this darkness, with confusion, disorientation, and that's what it feels like suffering. It feels, you can't stand it. Your whole system collapses. But that is literally darkness, because you're not allowing awareness to enlighten your moment. But the funniest thing, and the trick in here, is that in order to perceive your problem, you need that awareness. So, in another way of saying this, you need light to perceive the illusion of darkness. We call it suffering. You see how life-changing this can be to really understand this in your experience? So you are using happiness to see suffering. So, important point in here is like, let's trace back from where we come from. So you have this problem. Notice how your mind contracts into that problem, and there's this whole like energy pumping in, thoughts and emotions. But just notice how that is like a beam. So you just got your aliveness, your presence, and you just narrow it down into that, and you cannot perceive anything else. That's why most meditations are trying to connect you with here and now. Just sit and open and just be here without thinking about all of this stuff. So when you realize that, you're locking into that, in this tunnel vision, in this obsessive, compulsive kind of thinking, then just notice that thing you're noticing, to notice that you're narrowing into this tunnel vision. So your awareness of your self-suffering is actually already free. Only happiness can perceive suffering. I hope I'm not confusing you. So going back, you narrow, and the fact that you notice that you're narrow and you're getting obsessed with that, that is already showing that you're beyond it. You're able to observe yourself while you're suffering. But that very nature is light, and your problem is darkness. And darkness doesn't really exist. You just close your own vision and your own delusion, and that's how we suffer. And I know, many people are not ready to actually understand this because they still think that the problem is out there. But I really hope you already did that work. I have made a lot of videos explaining that, where you actually notice that there's an activity in you that actually is necessary for you to feel that suffering. So in that closing of your awareness into a locked, obsessive thing with your problem that you have to fix, if you don't solve that problem, you cannot be happy. If you're able to notice that contraction of your attention, then what you're using to notice that contraction of your attention is awareness itself. So you're using light to notice darkness. You know what happens when you do that? The darkness disappears. When you get in contact with the awareness of your personal life, and you're able to get out of your bubble, suddenly that same space around what you're perceiving, this becomes clearer and clearer over time. That light is your happiness, and it's always there. It's your awareness, it's your presence. It's the light of you being alive, your awareness. In order to perceive your problem, you need to perceive it. In order to perceive, you need to have this awareness underlying, and that awareness is free. And it's literally light. Like everything you're seeing, this is the physical light. There's also the different kind of light that you cannot see, but it's going through the whole planet, this life, from the space. Let's not get into physics, but you can only notice that you're suffering if you're noticing, and noticing itself is beyond suffering. So the light of your presence makes obvious to you that your personal suffering, the darkness of your personal suffering, it is actually just an element, an experience floating in light. And when you're able to do this shift in your perception, the more and more you're able to abide in this impersonal matrix of not just your personal experience, the experience of everything and everyone. And you realize that in order to perceive your problem, you need to be enlightened. In order to be alive, you're already free. It's just we don't notice because our mind is playing tricks on us and we're getting trapped in these vicious loops of suffering. So, I warned you, this video is not for everyone. It's just for people who are already sensitive to do this. And you say, okay, fine, I understand, I believe you, I really want to, I kind of taste what you're saying, but I cannot really integrate in my life. I still find myself trapped in these loops. Well, what you have to make yourself is just receptive to this knowledge that is already in you. What I'm saying, you already know in the silence of your mind. So the only thing that you have to do is to prepare yourself to open your tiny personal bubble, open more. And that's why we call meditation. And the more you do that, the more free you're gonna feel to experience this coming and going of everything. And then this pointer, this explanation that I was giving you today, that's as profound as it gets. I mean, there's nothing else to explain, actually. This is what all the enlightened beings have been explaining all the time. And guess what? You're one, and hopefully one day you will be explaining this to someone. Or to yourself. So, make yourself receptive by letting go of your personal drama, your personal darkness, and let the light of your presence, that is already are, because you are right now, you're alive. You cannot deny that. Do you know that you're alive right now? Of course you are alive. That is the only light you're looking for. And it's always there because you always notice you are here. just that. You need to relax from your mind enough to see the movement of contraction that we call suffering. That is where our illusion of suffering comes from. So that's the way you detach from all your suffering. And yeah, certain experiences may happen in your life, but they just come and go. And they are all floating in this presence and awareness that you are. This light of being that allows you to perceive anything, even your problems are floating in this sea of peace and enjoyment. This light, some people call it God, but I will call it you, the real you. So meditate, 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 meditate until this is obvious.